Today's challenge is putting all of these new skills that we've learned into a portrait in proportion. Everything is in proportion relative to each other. And we're going to use guidelines like this drawing here to help us do it.
Hello, St. Paul's artists. Today we're going to talk about drawing the face in proportions. You guys have been practicing facial features, and now we're going to learn how to put them all into a basic proportionally correct portrait. So I'm going to start using a really light touch and creating my face shape. I'm starting with kind of a rainbow line, very light and nice and sketchy. Notice my hand's kind of back on my pencil. And then I'm going to come down underneath and draw a smaller smiley face. Make sure you guys can see that in your picture. Smaller smiley face. A head shape is kind of an egg upside down. And now I can kind of connect these two with a nice round egg shape for my face. Let me make sure you guys can see that. All right. Now, coming down from the face to create a neck, a lot of students want to do this, like small in the middle, and that is just too small for a neck. So I'm going to erase that. And we want to create a neck. Your neck comes, if you could put your fingers behind your ears, your neck starts way back there and comes straight down. So I'm going to come up here where our ears are and follow the line of my face and come down to create a neck. I have a tendency to make my necks too long, so I'm going to try to be careful about that. I'm going to kind of curve in and create a neck shape. All right, and then with our sketchbooks, our shoulders are just going to go kind of nice diagonally off the page. We won't see the edge of our shoulders for this generic portrait that we're drawing. Like so. And then I'm going to create just a basic collar shape. You might change the collar shape. Maybe you want a V-neck. Maybe you have a collared shirt on, and we can talk about that later, but I'm just going to create a basic collar shape. So now I've got kind of the basic structure of my portrait, but where do the facial features go? So many times we get our eyes too high in our forehead, or our nose and our mouth are too close together or too small. So we're going to talk about how to set up some guidelines for drawing your portrait. So step one is I'm going to draw very lightly, because we're going to erase these, a line right down the middle. I'm going to make my line a little bit darker than you should, just so it shows up in the video. Make a nice straight line right down the middle. And then I'm going to come find the middle of the head, right about here, come to the middle and kind of guesstimate right, making a crisscross right in the middle of the face. This is actually where your eyes go, or on this line. It feels so low. It feels like I'm going to have this giant forehead. And we'll talk about that more later, but this is where your hair is. So many times we draw our hair right on top of the head, but your hair actually, if you feel the top of your head and come forward, your hair actually comes down around that egg shape quite a bit. So I'm going to put a little tick marks for two eyes and trying to make sure that they're about the same length. This one is a little short. I'm going to move that over a little bit. Those are just going to be the edges or the corners of my eyes. Now I'm going to find this middle line and the chin, and I want to come to the middle of that and divide this space in half again, right here. And this is actually the bottom of the nose. Remember, we start the nose with kind of that round, those circles. I'm just putting in some basic guidelines here. Now, to find where that center line of the mouth goes on that isosceles triangle that we've been talking about, I'm going to come and find the middle of this space. And that is where that middle line of our isosceles triangle, I'm going to do a smile on this portrait, will go. And the Cupid's bow will go right above it, like that. So we're placing our guidelines in. And here I'm going to do those guidelines for For the eyes, remember we have like a crisscross here. Just setting up basic guidelines for coming back in and adding my facial features. We're gonna stop there and let everybody get caught up, and then we'll come back in and add those techniques we learned for adding facial features.